Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Next 2020. My name is Gabriela Heizer, and I'm your host for this show. Since this is a new segment for the Boca Raton Tribune, I figured I would start out by giving you guys my elevator pitch for the show. So during the show, I will be hosting young professionals, young entrepreneurs, and rising leaders. The aim is to open conversation and discuss different topics each week. I want to address things like their journey, current events, and future plans. Each week, I will have a different theme and guests that fit into that theme. However, I want you and your feedback as well. If there are any topics you would like discussed, let us know and we'll work on making it happen. I also want you, the viewer and listeners, to join the Next 2020 and stand in solidarity as we confront the problems faced by our brothers and sisters of all colors around the world, and with concern, the problems facing our nation. Lend a helping hand as we pave the road from America's horrific past with love and equality for all, because this journey requires all hands on deck. As I believe, together, we will rise. The goal of this show is to inspire, give hope, and help one another. Today, we host young leaders committed to our future. I would like to introduce Bianca Rivera and Ron Taylor. Hi, guys. And Austin Karanaka, hey. So I would like to start off the show by going around and everyone giving a brief introduction. So your full name, which I stated, but your name, your academic background, and any plans moving forward with your academic career, if you have any. So Bianca, why don't you start?
Okay, yeah, I'll start. Hi, my name is Bianca Rivera. I'm currently still in school, aspiring for my accounting degree. My future academic plans is to go to law school as soon as I graduate. I am hoping to start in January, but we'll see how everything happens with the whole crisis and epidemic that's happening. I'm currently working at my family company. I'm a part of our operations management team.
Awesome. Ron?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ron Taylor. I'm a recent FAU graduate. I studied accounting in the business school there, and I currently work as the financial controller for a company based in Boynton Beach called Aviation, Power, and Marine. I also run a business advisory practice in my spare time called Taylor Global Group, and I am hoping to return to school to complete my MBA here in the near future.
Hey everyone, my name is Austin Karanaka. I'm a three-time alumnus from Florida Atlantic University. I got my bachelor's degree in management and marketing with an emphasis in leadership. I then went back and got my Master of Business Administration, specializing in marketing. And because I'm crazy, I got a Master of Higher Education Leadership and Research Methodology, also from FAU. Currently, professionally, I work as an Assistant Director of Marketing and Communications within the Graduate College at Florida Atlantic University. And I'm also an adjunct professor of marketing for undergraduate courses at FAU. And I also taught a course last year at NSU. Because I'm such a nerd, I'd like to go back to school eventually and get a PhD in marketing. That way I could pursue a full-time tenure track position as an instructor or professor. Enough about me. Now back to you, Gabby.
Awesome. So as you can see today, we have diversity among us. We have everything from a student to a working professional, and even a professor, and everything in between. So I love that. That's kind of what I want this show to be, for you guys to get, for the viewers, the listeners, to just see different parts of the journey, you know? So my first question for you guys, I know you guys already said what your career and job is, and et cetera. So what are some experiences that helped you within your career? And how are you utilizing those experiences along your career path to reach your ultimate goal?
I think that's my cue. As far as experiences in my career are concerned, I didn't intend to be where I was when I started out. I actually started out in college studying computer engineering and kind of made the trek from computer engineering to photography to marketing and over to international business. Had an amazing accounting professor who showed me a different direction I could go with an accounting career, and ended up interning at a company that I'm now back at. As I went through not only my college career, but as I was interning, I had individuals who would step in, give me new projects, and help me to build to where I am today. I've really come full circle where I'm back to focusing on a database side, on an analytics side, and touching on the computer engineering that I started out at. So it's kind of great to see that come to fruition after years of kind of jumping around and trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Awesome, awesome.
Hi. So I feel like everything I've ever experienced has led me to where I am today. Kind of like Ron, I'm kind of where I didn't think I was going to be at this point in my life. But I am all the grateful for it. Currently, I am a part of our operations team at the company I'm working at. And I honestly didn't think I would be a leadership position there. But what really strived me to pursue a leadership position within our company was all the experiences I had in my college careers. I was able to obtain a higher position in the fraternities and extracurriculars I was a part of in college. And that's really giving me the confidence and like higher self-esteem to aspire to do better things and offer up other ideas and speak up and do whatever that I think is great for the company and also my professional career as well. And yeah, I don't know really what else to say.
No, that was great. That was great.
There may be a continual theme here because just like Ron and Bianca, I definitely didn't think I'd be exactly where I am today when I started off my career. I was always jealous of those kids in school that knew they wanted to be a pediatrician or a lawyer in third grade. I was always someone that liked to make people laugh, but I didn't think I'd make it as a comedian in any way. And went into business for college because I figured that's applicable to life. Through my career or my academic career, I really recognized there are a lot of opportunities out there, and you should take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves to you because you got to put in the hard work. You have to be dedicated, but there's a little bit of luck involved as well to getting to where you ultimately want to be in your career. Two things that I think really shaped where I am today. One, my first full-time job out of high school was working in a restaurant. I actually worked as a busser and then worked in the back of the house as a cook and then became an assistant kitchen manager, etc. Working that part or that hourly job was very rigorous, and I learned a lot about life, a lot about myself in that process. It also taught me what I did not want to do forever, and that as much as I love cooking and eating, I didn't want that to necessarily be my career. So that really kept me hungry, so to speak, to continue pursuing my academics and to get involved. While I was working there full time, I was also going to school full time. I did not get involved in extracurriculars like Bianca stated until I got into my graduate program. Then I decided to get really involved, and I feel like that's where I really took a turn in my career. I was able to network with a bunch of different people, learn myriad skills that have benefited me well beyond any sort of professional experience that I've gotten. And marrying that together with just taking advantage of the opportunities that come your way, listening to people's great advice. I feel like you could always learn something from everybody that you work with or interact with. That has truly helped me get to where I am today. But I wasn't expecting being here. Like the famous Dr. Seuss book, "Oh, the Places You Will Go." It's so true. In your career, you will go to amazing places.
That's awesome, Austin. I would like to correct you, though. I think you would make a great comedian, but that's for another time. So that was all great. Love that. So my next question to you guys, I kind of wanted Ron to start us off on this just because I think he has an interesting background on this, but if you guys all want to chime in, whatever point. So how did you know what company was a right fit for you? And what were some musts on your job search?
I think that Austin really touched on it a moment ago. I was very, very fortunate. I was very lucky that I found a company that showed me what I was looking for in a workplace. When I interned there in college, I had started out, and everybody on this call knows this, that I had started out looking to move to public accounting. I had this dream of going into consulting, and I wanted to be at one of the large firms, make partner. I wanted to be very corporate. I wanted to put on the suit, which I didn't put on today. And then I ended up finding a company that showed me a little bit of a different side. They showed me a smaller aspect. They showed me that I can still make a difference and work hand in hand with others and with those in larger companies without having to go on the adventure I'd initially planned on. And like I said, Austin had added in that a lot of luck was involved there. If I hadn't gone through the Career Center at FAU and I hadn't found this company, then I wouldn't know that I wanted a smaller environment. I wouldn't know that I enjoy working on databases. And that's really what made that the perfect fit for me and brought me back, was because I found that in the place that taught me I wanted it.
That's great. Does anyone want to add anything else?
Yeah, I'd love to. For me, it was more so learning from previous employers what I was not looking for in a job. Again, I feel like that's kind of shaped where I've wanted to go in the future, not really being quite sure what the path was. I knew which paths I did not want to go down from experience. I really wanted to work with an employer that respected a work-life balance. Working in the restaurant industry, a lot of times the hours could be grueling, especially if you're in a position of leadership or management. You wind up spending exorbitant amounts of your time. You value overtime work instead of your own personal time. And while I consider myself a typical American workaholic, I wanted to still maintain some semblance of a personal life, spending time with my family, getting involved with hobbies that I'm passionate about, etc. Therefore, when I was looking into an employer, I really wanted to make sure that there was some form of work-life balance, that there were some forms of benefits in terms of healthcare, parental leave, things like that, for when eventually those things would make sense for me. Those were musts in my job. In addition, I was looking for a company culture that would be conducive to success and upward mobility. The last thing I wanted was to remain stagnant in any job, feeling like I'm working endless hours with no real movement forward. That was frustrating to me, especially working in a restaurant. I felt at one point my experience was stifled. Now, this isn't to scare anyone away from the restaurant industry. I'm a big believer in the benefits of working within the restaurant industry, and I'm a big proponent that it could change and get better. But just for my personal example, the specific restaurant that I was working with, I recognized that there were certain aspects of it that would not be conducive to my long-term success. And that scared me because I didn't want to get burnt out. I didn't want to get worn down working a particular position. So I was really looking for a job that would enable a work-life balance. And then there was a company culture that would allow me to grow and move upward if applicable. And I certainly found that in Florida Atlantic University as an employer.
That's amazing. I love that. You guys are great. That was actually one of my questions for you guys was if you've ever been in a company that you saw no growth in and how you reacted to it. So you started us off, Austin. So Bianca, do you have any input on that one?
If I've ever been in a company that I saw no growth in, absolutely. Everyone at least has one job on their resume that it's been there. For me, it was also in the restaurant business. The growth opportunity was there. However, being super young, I offered so many leadership ideas, like, hey, we should do this, we should do like something else. This is more cost efficient or other things. And since my age was such a factor for all these older people kind of in the like district managers and stuff like that, they're kind of like, they took my advice with a grain of salt. So I saw that opportunity that I can't be a manager of my own restaurant chain because people are not really respecting that maybe these younger minds have better ideas or can lead to something that could be better. So I ended up, unfortunately, I ended up leaving because of that fact. But I feel like a lot of companies they hinder the bright minds that they have that because of their age. And that is a very sad thing because these people are the future. These people can offer great things. And you don't want people leaving due to the fact that you can't offer like growth or success within that. So Yeah.
That's very important. And that's also one of the reasons I wanted to start this show is people tend to look down on us because we're young, and I don't think they should, because like you said, we're the next leaders, so that's awesome. So how would you guys think that we could combat that? A company that maybe isn't giving us our fair chance because of our young age and stuff like that. Do you guys have any ideas on how we could fight that, I guess, in a way?
I could definitely speak to that. One of the things that I ran into was not necessarily a company that hindered my growth, but my hindering my own growth. I would prevent myself from going into a new situation, because a lot of times when I started out in my professional career, I was terrified. I was like, okay, school didn't tell me how to do this. I'm not prepared. I don't know how to find the information. And I was afraid to ask because I was so new that I didn't want to look like I wasn't supposed to be there. And I had a mentor of mine who told me at one point that he's gone in to run over 7 different companies. And every day that he's walked in as an executive or as an interim executive, he's walked in and felt like the new kid on the block. He had nowhere to go. He had no idea what to do. He didn't know the people or the process. So even if you're an intern or you're just starting out in an entry-level job, pushing yourself to not be hindered by your own mind is just as important as finding a company that allows you to grow.
Yeah, I can elaborate on that too, saying like, for me, after leaving that job, I had a really good support group. I feel like that's super important no matter who you are, what job you have, what profession you're going for. If you have a good support group that always talks you up, that's always supporting you, and always says, like, if you're leaving a job like I was, my friends were kind of like, well, you don't need them. You can always find somebody, like another company. There's always another company that is willing to value your experiences and your ideas and stuff like that. So I feel like having a good support group, no matter if it's just one friend or a whole army of just everybody, your family could be your own support group too. I feel like that's super, super important. For me, after leaving that, I kind of walked into starting a new job. I walked in with the mindset of kind of fake it till you make it. So I walked in as if like no one knew my age. I have a young face. I know I do, but everyone thought I was so much older than I was. So they were like, oh, it's just a baby face. So like they brushed it aside because I acted and I talked with such like a professional degree that everyone was kind of like, okay, maybe like, yeah, you look young, but that doesn't mean you're an old soul. Like you have a bigger mindset. Like you can do great things just because of your age. That shouldn't hinder yourself.
Wow, you guys are great. You're answering all my questions before I even ask them.
Can I add, or
yes,
am I? Yeah, just to kind of dovetail on all of this. I think that there's one continual theme here. It's maybe something you've seen in your LinkedIn feed. There's an expression that says most people don't quit their job; they quit on their boss, because whoever's managing them, for whatever reason, they feel stifled. And I've certainly been there before, where I was so frustrated with a particular boss because I felt like they were inhibiting my advancement. Like if I was their assistant manager, I thought they wanted me to be their assistant manager forever because I helped them get their job done, and maybe they were worried that I was coming after their job or something like that. What we could learn from that is being younger, we're typically very impatient. We want results immediately, and that's just not the way life works the majority of the time. Therefore, we just need to recognize that this too shall pass. No matter what we're dealing with, it's temporary, and we're going to get to where we want to be if we're persistent and we keep putting in the hard work. So never be discouraged because of a particular boss or an employer, because that just means that that's not a company that is the right fit for you, and that's okay. That means that when you move on and go to another one, you're going to find a newfound sort of rejuvenation for your career and for your purpose. And it's very common, though, for us to kind of be beaten down. That way, you really should just know your worth and know your value. And if you feel like you're not being maximized, your potential's not being maximized, it's okay to consider other options and move on in terms of work, because respect is earned over time. It's not just automatically given. So sometimes we're going to be in situations where we feel like, oh, this isn't right, this isn't fair. If it's ultimately such a big deal, you could remove yourself from that situation. But if it's worth it and you're passionate about it, typically good will prevail ultimately. And the last thing that I wanted to add is that I've been in a position before where I felt like my work was not being necessarily valued, and it's okay, because that means somebody else will value my hard work, and that doesn't mean that you're not good or the work that you're not putting in is good. It just might not have been a strategic fit for whatever reason. That's tough to reconcile when you don't have a massive resume. But as time goes on, your resume will expand and your experience will grow. With that comes wisdom and knowledge, and that's power.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And so kind of a follow-up question to that, what would you, I guess, recommend for someone to build their confidence and to know their worth and not just settle on whatever job they currently have? This, you meaning anyone can
I can answer that. Sorry, guys. So I can say what I did. I had super low self-esteem, and before I had my support group, was what I wrote was a list, like a pro and con list about me. What are some things that I'm great at, and what's some things that I need, that I'm lacking in, or I'm just very, very weak in, so I can acknowledge my small victories. Like, yeah, I'm a great communicator. Yeah, I think outside the box. Yeah, I can do all this. However, I have these faults too. What can I do to work on these faults so I can be more well-rounded? That really does help your self-esteem. And acknowledge small victories. Small victories happen every day. You may not think it's a small victory, but getting out of bed is a small victory. It's at least a victory for me. So acknowledge those small victories, celebrate them when they add up to a bigger victory, or have a goal in mind, but make sure, like, you have a main goal, but make sure you have like smaller achievable goals that you can cross off, so you're not just waiting a few years down the line or months down the line to one day I'll be like that. It's like, well, tomorrow I can do this, today I can do that, and I can cross these things off. Because I feel like it's a really good sense of like a great achievement when you can start crossing things off on a list, then looking at something and saying like, okay, one day I'll be there. Because you will be there. Just have smaller achievable goals while you're getting there.
And that's really something that you have to be cognizant of as you're growing into a leadership or a management role. I know personally that there are a lot of fine details that I tend to gloss over. I'm a very big picture person. I do broad strokes. I set a direction, and I had to find that out very early on in my career so that I could align myself with the people who were first able to understand what I was saying and what I wanted to do, because there are times that I'll talk myself in circles. And so I had to find the people that could understand me and then could help me to execute those goals and make sure that I didn't downplay anything they were doing and anything that I'm doing, and then we were sitting there working as a team.
Perfect. I'm really going to echo what both of Bianca and Ron have just said. The first thing I would mention is you really do need to take things one step at a time. A lot of times we do look at the big picture of the total project and we can get overwhelmed and feel inundated, but we can't accomplish a huge project all at once. We really do need to take it one step at a time, and recognizing those small victories. I try to tell myself that every single day. Take the small victories where you achieve them, and then immediately look on to that next project. Don't gloss over your successes, really acknowledge them and be able to reflect upon those successes, but then also have the foresight to continue looking forward. And like Ron said, I think that it's important that we all need to try to recognize our own strengths as much as possible and our weaknesses. Focus on your strengths and galvanize those strengths. Whatever you're good at, and everyone is uniquely good at multiple things, those are the things that you should really be trying to do as much as possible. Then when you recognize where your weaknesses are, get people to help you, get support, have a team. I'm in marketing for a reason. I'm not that great with numbers. So if I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to get people to help me with finance and accounting. Just like Ron says, he's great at big picture. That means that people that work with him, he needs people that are good at little picture things, small picture, the minute details. That way, as a team, we could really get things done together. And then the last thing I would say, I said this already, but really I think that it's important that we could reflect as much as possible, even if it's just once a day or at the end of a long week. Think back, what felt good, what didn't feel so good. That way you can try to set yourself up for greater successes in the future and not continue to be beaten down by the same things to where you feel like I'm stuck in this endless cycle of being dissatisfied, which is easy to fall into, especially early on in your career.
That's great advice. Wow. So my next question would be, we talked a lot about being confident where you are and finding your worth and things like that within your career. But how would you, or what advice would you give, I guess, to grow in your career? So I know, Austin, you've grown a lot from just being like an adjunct professor and everything, like being a professor. You grew a lot in that. I know I've watched that happen. And also, Ron, I saw you doing that in a bunch of different jobs. You like switched over because you found something better and things like that. So I guess my next question would be, how do you grow in your career, in your current position? How do you develop, I guess, and get your employer to realize like, hey, you're worth more. You deserve this promotion. You deserve this pay raise. You deserve more, I guess. Does that make sense? That was a lot of words, but I'm hoping you understood.
I could start that one off.
Awesome.
I think that speaking for me personally, that you need to listen to the people that are around you in your career and in your life. I wouldn't have gone for the role of being an adjunct professor if I wasn't listening to the secretaries in the marketing department that said, "You're great with students. Why don't you teach?" And that was like, oh, yeah, maybe I should do that. I'm good at this. Let me pursue this. So it was just taking the advice that you're getting from people that truly care about you and want to see you succeed. They'll try to give you advice. And if you listen to some of that advice, it may wind up proving really fruitful for yourself. So I always want to say that you could learn something from literally everyone, but really try to take the advice or heed the call to action when you're good at something. When you're truly talented in a certain area, the world needs you to be talented in that area and to continue displaying that. And developing confidence in any one of those areas, it's an ongoing battle. Some days you feel great. Other days you feel like, oh, I'm not really doing such a good job. That's part of life. That's part of the reflection that I talked about earlier. So one of the pieces of advice that I would have to really overcoming some of these obstacles and really getting to where you want to be in your career would be to listen to the advice of your confreres around you, the people that love you and care about you, because they probably have some good advice for you. And you also need to listen to yourself. You know yourself best. You know what you're capable of most. Therefore, sometimes the advice is great advice, but maybe not for you at that time. So knowing yourself and listening to others, I think, is critical.
And I think a big part of that is realizing and internalizing that plans do change. If you would have asked me 6-7 years ago, I would have told you that I was moving towards a business degree and I wanted to do my MBA in Xiamen, China, and I was going to teach English. Well, I'm not in Xiamen, China. I'm in South Florida. And I absolutely love it here, but that's a direct result of people coming into my life and showing me a new direction and my being open to that. And then to your question, Gabby, as well, when you're talking about moving forward in your career, getting promotions, you can work like crazy, take on a lot of projects. And a big thing to remember professionally, personally, in life is that we are our own biggest fans. We are watching our own television show most. You have to sometimes be a little loud. Let people know what you're doing. Get them involved. Ask them questions. Get them excited, because you may think personally that you're doing something absolutely fantastic, but it just might be, oh, my life's a little easier to the person next door. So get them involved. Ask them a question and go to your boss. Say, hey, I've done X, Y, and Z. Look at how awesome I am. And that is going to breed success for a lot of people.
That's awesome. So I guess you kind of, go for it.
I just wanted to quickly add, because I agree 100% with what Ron's saying, and I forgot to mention it, is in order to get a promotion or to be recognized, it would be lovely if our employer, our boss, recognized everything that we're doing and promoted us when we deserve to be promoted or gave us a raise. That's not always the case in every working situation. For me personally, I've had to ask for every raise that I've ever gotten, but it's taught me a lot. The first time I asked, I was very apprehensive. I was very nervous. What if they say no? They would just say no. Like, I'm not going to get fired for asking for something more. But as a result, it did build confidence in me being able to identify my strengths and be able to provide justification for how I'm adding value to my work situation. Therefore, I would really recommend to all young people out there that are getting started in your career, negotiate for a salary. Stand up for yourself when you're asking for a promotion or a raise, especially if you have legitimate justification. Don't just say, hey, I just want more money. Provide a reason why that makes sense for your employer to do that. I would like to think that if you have that justification and the company has the means to be able to do it, you're going to get that more times than not. Unfortunately, a lot of people just take the first offer that they get in terms of like a salary negotiation, or they work a job for a long period of time and they say, I'm really doing the job of an assistant director, but I'm only a coordinator right now. put a case together, have a meeting with your employer and try to request that promotion. The worst that they could do is say no. But if they say no, then in that conversation, you could identify, I need to do this, 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 and this, and then I will be able to get a promotion. So through that conversation, you can constructively identify, okay, I may not be ready right now for whatever reason, but now I know exactly what I need to do to then have that conversation again in the future. So really just know your value, know your worth, and stand up for yourself when you should be. And more times than not, I'd like to believe, I'm an internal optimist, that you'll be rewarded for that. But if you say nothing, they may just think that you're satisfied with everything that's going on, and they may not offer you anything more.
And, there are times that I've done exactly that, where I have walked into a manager's office and said, I've been looking around and I've had people talking to me about X, Y, and Z position. And it appears that what they're offering me lines up with exactly what I'm doing for you now. Wouldn't you agree that my title lines up with this instead of what I already have? Don't you think that my pay should maybe align with that as well? And more times than not, I've gotten agreement. Oh, I didn't really realize that you started doing that. Yeah, we should correct for that. Every boss, every manager is not out to destroy their employees. A good leader wants a great and happy team that is recognized for their work. But sometimes they're a little bit lacking in the knowledge of everything that you're doing. And sometimes you just have to say it.
That's awesome. That's great, because I was literally about to ask you guys if you asked for raises or promotions, or if you were just handed them. So you guys answered my question before I even got it out. I love that. Bianca, do you have anything else to add to that topic?
Yeah, I was waiting for all of them to get
I was waiting to get my
waiting for our back and forth.
I actually just recently got a raise. How that happened was that when I was hired on, I was given a certain job title and a description about these are your duties and this is what you need to do. And as time progressed, I'm very hungry when it comes to information. I like to learn. I want to learn how all things work. And if I can learn something in a different department, I can help out. Like, that's totally great. Like, I can be more well-rounded in the company, and that makes you more valuable. So I realized over time that I was doing extra duties and extra jobs and had more responsibility on other things, and my pay really wasn't aligning with that. And so I sat down and I had a talk saying, like, hey, just being very frank, this is what my job title is. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. However, this isn't exactly what I am doing. Do you want me to revert back to what I was hired on to do? Or do you want to make the shift into I have more responsibility and everything that comes along with it, the title, the pay, like everything like that, so that we won't have any issues and it's not a miscommunication on anything if something were to go wrong. So I feel like always just evaluating what you're doing and what you should be doing kind of thing is a good line of, hey, maybe I should ask for a raise. And if you are going to go ask for a raise, always go in. I would recommend to go in with a number. Don't be dead set on that number, because that number may or may not happen. I went in with a number, I presented it, and it's a negotiation. I didn't end up getting that number, but I did get a raise. And that's what my whole goal was to get a raise. So it works out. Definitely have what you need. I always recommend to write everything down on paper so that you're not just stumbling for words when it comes time to it, because you don't want to wing it, especially for a negotiation. So yeah, it's always great to kind of just get everything on my opinion, get everything down on paper so you can formulate your plan on how to negotiate and what to do and like how to go from there. And then if you need to do anything else beyond that.
That's great advice. What I heard from that also was that dinner is on you next time. So we have some comments. Let's see what those are. Victor said, well said, Austin. Austin has been dropping a lot of knowledge. Great job, great guest and topic. I'm glad. Thank you. You guys are great.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Facebook world.
Right next Senator. Uh-oh. He's talking about who?
All of us.
Oh,
I mean, definitely Austin looks the part right now. So
You got the flag, you got the colors in your dress and all.
presidential campaign, love it.
awesome. Wonderful. That's what that says.
And thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
Great show. I'm impressed with y'all. Thanks, Dad. Great supporters, I'm telling you. Awesome. Such an incredible idea. Thank you. Oh, glad everyone's loving it.
Yeah, thanks, Gabby, for coming up with this idea and asking us to be on. Like, this is such a great honor to do.
Thank you guys for being on. I'm very excited. So I know it's almost time to wrap up. I have 2 more questions for you guys. So let's think about the answers concise. Oh, look, preach, Bianca. You got a shout out. Yes. It's amazing. Every valuable information and insightful for professionals. Thank you, Terrence. So, all right, my next question is, are you guys doing anything outside of your jobs? Entrepreneurship endeavors, books, hobbies, whatever advice, whatever you're doing, I guess, not advice.
I can start. So I've been reading a lot of books. I used to love reading, and then the whole school happening and just trying to network and do all that I kind of got away from it. But recently, I have been getting back into books, and I really like to do self-help books, or how to grow myself professionally or my mindset and stuff like that. I drive a lot, so I feel like podcasts are my life right now. Especially if I'm driving to somewhere far for a few hours. Podcasts are only hours, so I can listen to 2 or 3 of them, and I'm great. I can go into wherever I'm going with such a high great mindset, great feeling. It's what I've been doing. I know a lot of people, when you ask a business major, they're like, oh, only business major talks about business all the time. So I feel like business is probably not all around all of my life. So I do try to read, or I do try to watch some shows. I try to do other things to open up my horizons, I guess.
Love it.
As I'd kind of mentioned, I started out moving from computer engineering to photography. I've kept some of my camera equipment. I still do love to travel around and get photos and kind of play to my artistic side. I like to say that on the accounting side, I like to be artistic too, but not everybody finds Excel sheets as exciting as I do. So I like to go out and create something a little different. And that's really my escape from the business world. I also work outside of my full-time job, consulting other companies, small companies, in understanding their data, building their business, getting their accounting and bookkeeping together. I try to show them the benefit to having all of their information consistently available, instead of just putting together your receipts and handing it to the accountant at the end of the year and go, here you go, take care of this, please, because you can do a lot with that information so long as you stay in tune with it throughout the year, throughout the week. You talk to your employees and make sure that you connect the dots, but it can't just happen all at once. Analyzing all of that data at one time, extremely ridiculous. If I can do a little shameless plug, you can reach out to me for that at taylorglobalgroup.com. I love to work with small businesses in the South Florida area and around the country to help to really build out not only their book of business, but the understanding of what they already have and how they can improve.
Awesome. We love plugs here on this show. So
I'm a big proponent of extracurricular activities as well. I've been heavily involved with Toastmasters International, which is a communication and leadership group with clubs all over the world, including one at Florida Atlantic University. That's how I got started. I recognize it as a great place to just practice public speaking. We have a really great group, and I've taken on multiple leadership roles beyond just the club level that I feel like have really helped give me self-confidence. I feel like I've grown a lot personally, and I made a lot of connections through that organization that are going to be lifelong. In addition, I became the chapter advisor for the Zeta Phi chapter of Delta Sigma Pi, which is a co-ed professional business fraternity. I pledged and was initiated during my MBA as a graduate student, and got involved once I gained faculty status. And that's been so great for me to be able to give back to such a great organization that really tries to help professional-minded business students make that connection with the business world and vice versa. And I just absolutely love those activities. So I volunteer quite a bit in my spare time. For fun, I like to do things like garden or cook. Really just being outside is nice, going for a run, going for a walk. I feel like that's really important, especially through the pandemic and the quarantine. For those of you that are still working from home or cooped up all the time, I feel like just stepping outside gives me like a refreshment that is so necessary. And as like a pure guilty pleasure, I've always loved baseball. And now that baseball is not being played, I'm kind of at a loss. But that would be like my one guilty pleasure thing that I do that doesn't necessarily add value to the rest of the world, like everything else that I try to do or I think that I'm doing. But that's I absolutely love baseball, so I can't wait for baseball to come back.
You got to take care of yourself first sometimes, you know? So Victor says, proud of you all. Some of the sharpest to come from Zeta Phi. Yeah, so we're all brothers of Delta Sigma Pi, and that's how we all know each other. Dakota says, this is amazing. I can't wait to watch for more.
Thanks, Dakota.
We'll be back every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Super advice for young people. The four of you put together an informative show. Awesome. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
So my last question for you guys, which is going to close off the show, is what are some of your goals for the next 3 years, and what are you doing currently to develop those goals? I think it's important for us to realize, like, we've accomplished a lot, we're doing a lot, we have some great advice, but this isn't it for us, right? We're still growing, we still want to do more, accomplish more. So what is your three-year goal, and what are you doing to do that, to accomplish that? Whoever would like to start. I know this is a big one.
I could start.
Go for it.
Ron,
I stepped on your toes. You can go first.
All right. Thank you, Austin. I was going to say I stepped on your toes. You can go, but that's fine. I'm very fortunate, like I said earlier, that I was able to go back to the company that I interned with, and I'm really where I want to be. As far as the company is concerned, I do see upward mobility. So I think over the next 3 years, I'm there. However, growing not only my personal practice in consulting, getting my MBA, studying and passing my certified management accounting exam. I also hope to bring together a lot of my group of friends, people on this call. My intent is to start to build out an investment group as we all grow our careers and have that in mind. And that is definitely something that through my professional life, I've seen a lot of very successful people do, and that I would pass on to other young professionals. You know, get your core group together, the people that you trust and that you want to work with for the rest of your life, and kind of put in all of their minds like, hey, we can build something great on our own, but we can build something absolutely stupendous together. Let's remember we're moving in that direction. And, you know, even if you can't do that right away, if you have that at the forefront of everything that you're doing, you will get that core group of 5, 10, maybe even 40 people that you're going to bring together to do that. And it really is amazing, magical, and builds wild success that I've seen with a lot of people that I've run into in my career.
Awesome.
All right, I'll go. We'll save the best for last with Bianca. The 3-year plan, I'm glad that I've been on so many interviews in my life to be ready for this question, but I don't remember the last time I was asked this question, so that's a good one. 3 years from now, I have a few goals professionally and personally. Professionally, I'd like to be promoted to the role of director of marketing and communications in the graduate college. Right now, I'm the assistant director. I feel like I've been putting in a lot of quality work, but I'd like to be able to make a case for myself to get that director position and see where that could even take me farther in my career. In addition, in Toastmasters, I'm currently the club growth director for District 47, which is Southeast Florida in the Bahamas. There are about 180 clubs that are going to be under my purview next Toastmasters year, which runs from July 1st to June 30th. That's the Toastmasters year. By 3 years, I'd like to be the district director, which is basically just the leader of the entire district. So right now, I'm really like the membership person trying to grow clubs and et cetera. So right now, I'm on trajectory to get there. If I put in a lot of hard work and campaign a bit, I'm convinced that I can get there as well, which would make the FAU club very proud where I'm still from. And personally, 3 years from now, I'd like to buy a house. I'm currently renting. I'd love to stop renting as soon as possible. The prospect is a lot less scary the more I advance through my career, though it is a huge purchase. I feel like by 3 years from now, I should be ready to do that. Hopefully I get there.
You will.
Yeah, you will. I believe in you.
You will.
So for me, so short term right now, more short term than 3 years, is to, well, first graduate with my bachelor's, and from there, planning on going to law school with our lovely hosts in the same city. We're gonna do big things together. But from 3 years from now, so law school is about 3 years. So hopefully I would be graduating by then, if nothing else kind of, no other obstacles get in the way. Um, Besides that, I'm kind of just I'm not winging it per se, but I'm kind of still figuring out what my path is. I'm still trying to keep an open mind to everything. Because the last thing, I'm very hard headed, and like, if I set to something, I need to achieve it, no matter how it is. But when it comes to future plans, I know plans change, and the last thing I want to do is set myself up for disappointment. Not saying that I'm going to disappoint myself, but last thing I need to do is, if plans were to change, to kind of get angry and stuff like that. So I'm kind of keeping an open mind with everything right now. But I'm also bringing that professionally into my personal life too. I would like to keep an open mind. I would like to network, not only just, people say network for professional reasons. I would like to network as like a perspective, like job perspective, in my support group, because I love supporting people and I want people to support me too. So I would love to network more. I would like to keep an open mind. I would like to travel more. I would like to do a lot of other things. I have a lot of plans, but I don't know if they're all going to be achievable in 3 years, probably a little longer. But we're definitely taking the steps to do there, and we definitely have a great support group behind me, and I am a part of so many different support groups, all of which are on this call too. Love y'all. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
That's awesome. And that was a great way to end the show, to remember to like keep an open mind. And we have all these plans and things, but things happen, you know. We never expected the pandemic to hit and us all to be stuck at home, but we're making the best of it. And I think that's really important for us to remember as we close today's show, which is the first show of the next 2020. So thank you guys. Wow.
Gotta add the applause in.
I feel like I just landed in an airplane and everyone's clapping. Glad you guys were all on the show. I thank you so much for your input and advice, and it was just wonderful. For everyone else watching, I hope to see you guys again next Wednesday. Stay tuned for more information on the guests and themes and what's more to come. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Thanks for having us, Gabby.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you.